Hi everybody, welcome to LucasOilRacing.tv. I'm Dave Despain. We're going to talk about the big picture in motorsports. Shawn Stewart is with us to explain what the U.S. Motorsports Association is, first of all, and what it's trying to do. Welcome, thanks for coming, appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me on, it's great to be here. So the United States Motorsports Association, we're launching here in 2016, and it's been initiated to conduct the first ever national economic impact study of motorsports across the board. So all forms of racing across the country.
Wow. So I hear about tracks doing economic impact statements. I remember back when I was working for a sanctioning body, we sort of made up a bunch of statistics that we tried to find some support for.
Sure.
The point being to establish that our little corner of racing was a big deal. I don't know that I've ever heard of anybody trying to do that on the scale of the whole sport. Has this ever been done?
It has not been done, and like you said, it's been done on some micro levels, and some tracks, some series have done different economic impact studies, but that's part of the problem, is we've always been fragmented. One group's taking care of themselves, and they should, but we really need to have an umbrella that we can all fall under and get one good, clean study of what we mean to jobs and tourism and economic impact to the country.
How do you do that?
That's a good question, and I had a lot of sleepless nights for the last year going, should we do this? And if we do it, how are we going to do it? We're going to be working with a couple major universities, and it's a massive research project. So we're going to have to be relying on those series to give us data, and we're going to have to really go across the country and make some assumptions, tier levels of the different levels we have of racing. We collect all that data over about a 9 to 10 month period, and then we'll start to dissect it. It won't be perfect, but it'll definitely give us a 10, 15,000 foot view of who we are as an industry.
People talk about motorsports, and different people, I think, probably identify it differently, what constitutes a motorsport. To me, if it's, makes noise and goes fast, that's motorsports. But there's so little connection between some of the corners. I mean, people who are into pro pulling are not very well connected to flat track motorcycle people, but for your purposes, it's all under the same umbrella. How do you get those polar opposites talking to one another? Or do you need to?
I think, and you're right, we're an interesting industry that I like to say we're all in motorsports, but that's our country, and then we all live in different neighborhoods, and those different neighborhoods have different cultures and different lingo, and that's part of our problem. When we go to try to advocate for this industry on a policy level or meet with a policy maker, we confuse them by all of those series you just mentioned and all of our
We
terminology.
can't figure out who we are. How are they supposed to understand?
Right, so they get lost. So this allows us to come under one umbrella, and I think we don't need them all necessarily talking to each other. We just need to collect all the data, put it under one roof, and it allows us to go in and advocate for this industry, say who we are. What do we mean to economic impact in the country? How many billions of dollars are being driven into the economy? Guys that maybe have a full-time job, but go race on a Friday night and take their hard-earned money and put it right back into the economy, and that's what we want to uncover.
So when you say advocate, who are we advocating to? Who is the customer for this report that presumably you're going to eventually deliver?
It's twofold. One, it's a local, state, and federal level. So we want to be to the U.S. Congress, but we really want to be on that local level. One of the main focuses of this study is going to be the grassroots portion. And when we feel like that's probably our biggest economic driver. I mean, we all know some of the big series out there, but the grassroots portion, especially what groups like Lucas Oil are doing, that's where our core racers are. And so, we want to expose that. The customer is really policymakers, whether it's a local county commissioner all the way up to the U.S. Congress to the President of the United States. We want them to understand who we are and what we mean to things that they like to hear, which is jobs and economic impact and education, innovation. There's so much going on in motorsports that's just we haven't done a great job telling our story.
So once these people all recognize, these influential decision makers recognize us based on the study, what are we going to get out of it? How does motorsports, what's the direct benefit that comes back to us?
The direct benefit that comes back to us is policy changes. I mean, to give you a real life example, there was a track up in the Northeast, a dirt track, and one neighbor didn't like the noise, so they started writing letters, and the county commissioners assumed everybody hates the track. So they were going to make an ordinance in that city that no dirt could leave the property of that dirt track, including dust, which was essentially going to shut the track down. 350 race fans and drivers and everybody showed up, and the county commissioners realized, oh, there's a bigger audience here than we thought, and they actually killed the ordinance. So what we get back is, the regulation that's on us. We're sort of fall in this weird category where they don't know what to do with motorsports all the time, so on a political level, so they just throw us in over here to some other industry that already exists. And we may not be a fit for that, which companies like Lucas Oil and our tracks, it kills them financially. So we really, our direct benefit is going to be changing those policies, and it starts with having them understand who we are and what we mean to the industry.
The organization as it exists, U.S. Motorsports Association, implies membership and people supporting this and making it happen. How's that all structured?
One thing that we're doing that's kind of unique is we know racers only want to spend money on one thing, and that's to go faster and go racing. So we're not charging memberships to individual racers, but they can come and become registered members of the USMA. They'll get in the loop. We want to be able to have action alerts. If something's going on in a certain county, we want to be able to deploy an action alert to those racers there, tell them what to do, tell them what not to do.
Okay.
We don't need racers picking up the phone and cussing out a congressman or something. So we need to educate our own folks as well. But it'll be a free membership, so any individual, whether it's an industry professional, a racer, crew member, an enthusiast fan, can come on the website, register for free, and almost like signing a petition, their vow to support the industry. That helps us too to show our numbers.
Yeah. So you have that creates a mechanism that can take the results of this study and turn it into positive action at the local level that benefits all the above.
You got it. So we can say we are 5 million people are involved in motorsports, or whatever that number turns out to be, and then on a very local level, if there's an issue going on, we can deploy that action alert on that level.
So at a personal level, where did this project start for you? What's your motorsports background that leads you to this beginning of this project?
I've been around motorsports for about the last 2 decades. I've worked in everything from off-road to NASCAR to sports cars to you name it, and I've always worked more on the marketing side, but always had a passion for what's behind the green flag, I'll call it, what's behind the racetrack. I think unlike other stick and ball sports, our industry goes so deep, and that's always been the passion for me. I mean, I love racing and I love all that, but I love knowing that a race team employs full-time people, or there's small businesses out there that are living on racing. They're supporting their families, they're sending kids to college, all based on maybe a part or piece they're making or anything. So for me, that's the passion. It's really one of our lost industries. I think it's one of the biggest industries that nobody really knows about, and we're still kind of hidden. With things moving overseas, a lot of our stuff's still made here in the USA, a lot of parts and pieces, and that's unique to other sports. So for me, that's always been the passion, seeing those guys going to work, educating my friends, not just when they say, I'm not a race fan, I know, but do you know what this means to the economy, to jobs, to education, and that's one of our things we'll get into too, is STEM education, so science, technology, engineering, and math. I remember the old NASA days when you could be, go to space camp. Well, motorsports can fill that void, and is a great tool to teach those subjects. So those are my passions, always have been, and spent some years with a Motorsports Association in North Carolina, and just kept thinking, why is there not a national association? I mean, there's a national association of court reporters that I found, so they're more organized than we are, and just kind of kept going. Got together with some companies like Lucas Oil, Optima Batteries, and just forming a good coalition of companies and leadership to drive this thing forward.
Cool. Well, we wish you good luck. It's a great project and deserves all our support.
Great. Thanks for having me on.
That's Shawn Stewart, and it's the U.S. Motorsports Association National Racing Impact Study.